Hello everyone, welcome to ITLS Academy. In this session, we will be starting with the topic of forensics, and particularly in this session, we will be talking about fingerprints because that is a major important uh, aspect or major important topic of forensics. I'd like to put it like that. So this is your mentor, Dr. Shamaita Basu. So starting with forensics, I would just like to give you a brief idea about the history of forensics because before beginning with any new topic, I feel like having a brief idea about the history of that topic is very helpful, and it also develops a genuine interest among the students regarding that particular topic or subject. So the oldest known documents related with fingerprints uh, came around 3rd century BC in China, and then the second milestone would be between 1792 to 1750 BC, when ancient Babylon we found fingerprints pressed into clay tablets marked contracts. And then in the year 1684, Dr. Nehemias was obviously a scientist. His paper describes the patterns on human hands, including the presence of ridges. And as I will move forward with this topic, we will see that ridges form a very important part of fingerprints. Okay. And then we have in the year 1788, we have someone called Johann Meyer, who noted that the arrangement of skin ridges is never duplicated in two persons. This is again a very important observation regarding fingerprints, because even twins, even identical twins, they also have non-identical fingerprints. They also have different varieties of fingerprints. Okay, so no two person will be having same exactly the same fingerprint. Okay. Moving forward with the history, in the year 1823, as you can see the image of this person named Jan Evangelist Porkin, he describes 9 fingerprint patterns. Okay, so this is also a major historic milestone, I would say. Then in the year 1856, we had Sir William Herschel. Sorry, this diagram is actually of this figure is actually of Sir William Herschel, not Jan Evelyn Spoken. So this person is actually Sir William Herschel. He began the collection of fingerprints and noted that they were not altered by age. This is also a very important thing. Okay, that fingerprints remains the same throughout our course of life. Okay, whatever fingerprints I am born with, I will die with exactly the same fingerprints. They will not change. Okay. And then in the year 1883, there was someone called Alphonse Bertillon who created a way to identify criminals that were repeat offenders. Repeat offenders means same set of people who are performing the same type of crime again and again. Okay. Then in the year 1888, we had Sir Francis Galton and Sir Edmund Richard Henry, who developed the fingerprint classification system, which is still used in the US. So this is obviously a major and a very important historic milestone, isn't it? Then in the year 1891, we had Ivan Juan Vucetic, who collected all 10 fingerprint impressions and noted the measurements. And then we have in the year 1896, we have Sir Henry with two colleagues. I think this is the figure or the image of Sir Henry. So he, along with two colleagues, created a system that divided fingerprints into groups. All 10 fingerprints are imprinted on a card which is called a 10 card, and this is the typical image that I've given over here. This is the typical image of a 10 card along with other notations. So you can see there are 10 distinct fingerprints that you can see over here, along with different other notations also. Okay. Okay, so that was it about the major historical milestones. Now we would be focusing on the main topic of today's discussion, that is fingerprints. Now, what are actually fingerprints? So all of our fingers, toes, feet and palms are covered in small ridges. And these ridges actually help us grip the objects, tightly and firmly. Ridges are arranged in connected units called dermal or friction or ridges. Fingers accumulate natural secretions and dirt. Fingers create prints on objects we touch. So that is the basic concept, that we have ridges in our fingers, our toes, our palms, and those ridges basically help us to grip an object firmly or tightly. And whenever we are gripping an object or even touching an object, we are actually leaving behind our fingerprints, which are coming with the help of those ridges. Fingerprints are produced because we are having ridges on our fingers and toes. Okay. So, now obviously, since we are talking about our fingers, our toes, our palm, and fingerprints, so obviously, whenever we are touching something, whenever we are touching an object, we are touching it with the help of our skin or through our skin. Not with the help of our skin, but through our skin. The thing that is actually getting touched on that object is nothing but our skin. So we ought to have a basic idea about the structure of our skin when we are talking about fingerprints, isn't it? So skin, as we all know, has three layers: dermis, epidermis and hypodermis. So just above the epidermis, epidermis is actually the outermost layer of the skin. So just above the epidermis, what we have is we have the skin surface where the different pores are present, and those pores are very important for moisture to come in and outside of our skin. Otherwise our skin will become very rough and and dry. So these pores are also very important for moisture to come. So then we have epidermis and then we have the dermis. And through this dermis, through these pores rather, we are having different uh, glands, which are the eccrine glands. They are known as the eccrine glands. Okay. And we also have the basal layer. See, the basal layer is actually present just between the dermis and the epidermis. Here we have the basal layer, which is nothing but a layer or arrangement of cells together. If you see this, zoom this and see, these are nothing but cells which are arranged in a particular pattern, wavy pattern. Okay. And so these eccrine glands are coming basically from the pores, and they're reaching throughout the dermis and the hypodermis. And then below the hypodermis we have the subcutaneous tissue. Okay, now coming to the concept of formation of fingerprints. Now how these fingerprints will actually form. Okay, so skin consists of, as I said, the inner layer will be the dermis and the outer layer will be the epidermis, and even below the epidermis we have the hypodermis, and between this epidermis and dermis we have the layer which is known as the basal layer, just as what I showed you in the previous slide in the diagram. Now this basal layer, it grows faster than the layers above and below it. Means it grows faster than the dermis and the epidermis. Epidermis is above it, dermis is below it. And this basal layer, by growing faster, it gradually collapses and folds to form intricate shapes. Because it is growing in a faster manner, in a extensive or expansive manner. So dhire dhire it will start collapsing and folding to form intricate shapes. And these fingerprints, they begin forming near the 10th week of pregnancy. 10th week of pregnancy in the fetus. Okay. So when the mother is pregnant and she has reached at about 10 weeks of her pregnancy, her baby inside the womb will gradually start developing the fingerprints. So just imagine, it's a process which begins long ago, before even we have taken our birth. Okay. Okay, now coming to a very important slide or a very important topic, that is the different characteristics of fingerprints. Okay, so basically there are three general fingerprint distinctions, means three general fingerprint types or varieties, you can say. Okay, what are they? One is arc, which is seen in about 5% of the human population. Second is vole, which is seen in about 30% of the human population. And third is the loop, which is the most common because it is seen in about 65% of the human population. Okay, so arc, see, this looks like an arc, isn't it, like this curve? So therefore it's arc. Hole means it's kind of a, a cyclone forming, or a, like tornado forming, something like that. Hole, something is going to form like that. So that's why it's known as hole. And loop means in the form of loop. So see, it's arranged in the form of various loops. So loop form is the most common and the most important form, or pattern or type or variety of fingerprint that we need to know, because it's present in about 65% of the human population. Okay, now moving forward with the characteristics of fingerprints. So see over here, I think this is the loop form that they have focused on. Okay, so in the loop form, just in the middle, what we have is the core. Core means middle. Then we have the reach count area. So this is the reach count area. And then we have the delta. See, this is a region where kind of a delta is formed. Isn't it triangular in shape? Exactly how a delta looks like. So these are the three things that a forensic examiner or a forensic scientist will look to when they are studying a particular fingerprint of a suspected criminal or of a suspected individual. Okay. So core means the center of a hole or loop. As I mentioned, this is mainly, I think this is the loop that they have focused on. It can also be considered to be a hole. Okay. Second thing will be the deltas, which are the triangular regions near the loop, exactly what I said. And the third thing will be the reach count, which is counting from the core to the edge of the delta. So how will we count the reach? This is basically the reach count area, this entire area. So we will start counting the reach from the core of the fingerprint, and then we will gradually move towards the delta. And as soon as we reach the delta region, our reach count will be ended. Okay. And this reach count is very important because it is distinguishing one fingerprint from another, which is a very important, uh, you know, requirement or prerequisite when we are talking about fingerprint analysis, because the analysis will be successful only when we will be able to distinguish, only when we will be able to differentiate between the two fingerprints of two different persons, of two different individuals, because then only we will be able to say that okay, this is the criminal and this is not, isn't it? Okay. So see, moving forward, this slide also focuses on characteristics of fingerprints only. So this is the delta regions that we have in case of a central pocket loophole. So see, the loop form is only in the central part. That's why it's known as the central pocket loophole. The different other parts are basically in the pattern of a hole. Then we have a double loophole. So see here, two loops are there. One loop is like this and one loop is like this, isn't it? So double loop, but the other parts are in the form of hole. So here also we will be having two deltas because double hole, double loop. Okay. And then what we have is accidental hole. So see, this is majorly in the form of arc, isn't it? But still, accidentally we are having some hole. This is a hole, this is a hole, this is a hole, isn't it? But mainly it's in the form of a arc. So here also we are having, see, three deltas. So these are very, minute and very, what to say, salient features of fingerprints, or characteristics of fingerprints, that as a forensic scientist we should look forward to when we are undergoing any detection or investigation. Okay. Here also see, this is a plain arc. Okay, no complication is there, plain arc, and hence there is no delta. But this is a tented arc. See, in the middle there is some kind of a tent type shape, so we will be having a delta over here. Okay. Okay, now there are basic patterns of fingerprints which can further be divided. How? Arc patterns. Among the arc patterns, 4% will be plain arcs and 1% will be tented arc. Now what is the difference between plain arc and tented arc? Already I have shown you in the previous slide. You can just go and check. Okay. And then talking about the whole patterns, here also we have three types of varieties or three types of basic patterns, and these patterns also I have already shown you in the previous slides. So 2% will be central pocket, where just in the middle we will be having a central pocket. 4% will be double loop. Okay, so since double loop we will be having two deltas in them, just as I showed you. And 0.01% will be accidental hole, which are mainly in the form of arc or loop, but accidentally in the middle or in the sides, in the corners, we have some hole patterns also. So that is very rare, only 0.01%. Even twins have unique fingerprints. This is a very important point or very important aspect that you need to remember. So I will just going to highlight it. Okay, so even twins will be having unique fingerprints. Very, very important thing, because you know, it's like, since twins, we all know that twins means they are genetically identical, they will be having everything identical, isn't it? But in those everything, fingerprints will not be included. Fingerprints will be a exception. Okay, now coming to a very important part, when we will be where we will be particularly talking about the crime scenes or crime investigation scenarios. In respect to With respect to the crime investigation scenarios, we have three distinct types of fingerprints. Very, very important. What are they? Okay, so firstly, number one we have is patent fingerprints, then we have plastic fingerprints, and then we have latent fingerprints. Okay, now patent and latent, they to some extent sound the same, but don't get confused, they are totally different. Okay, so I will just explain what are they. So firstly, what we have is patent fingerprint. So patent means something which is very unique or something which is very personal, okay, which is very own. So patent fingerprints will be visible fingerprints transferred onto smooth surfaces by blood or other liquids. Means fingerprint which is ekdam properly visible, no confusion, or no, it's not like it's hidden or it's not clear, not like that. So that's why it's patent. So there will be visible fingerprints which will be transferred onto smooth surfaces either by blood or other liquids, other body fluids or any other liquid which may be present in the crime scenario. Okay. Secondly, what we have is plastic fingerprints. What are they? They are indentations left in soft materials such as clay or wax. Okay, so any kind of indentation which is left on any soft surface, like particularly ideal soft surface will be clay or wax for fingerprint, obviously. So they will be plastic fingerprints. And thirdly, what we have is latent fingerprints. So latent fingerprints, the basic difference between patent and latent is that latent fingerprints are not visible. They have to be made visible. But patent fingerprints are visible from the first time only, visible in the first place only. So that is the basic difference between patent and latent, because latent means something which is hidden, something which is not apparent. That is the meaning of latent. Okay. So latent fingerprints had to be made visible. How? By dusting with powders or with the use of chemicals. Okay, chemicals, one of the main chemicals that we use is ninhydrin. I will be talking about the different processes in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so latent fingerprints are those fingerprints which are not visible, but they can be made visible by dusting with powders, specific powders. Ninhydrin can be in the form of powder also or in the form of chemicals also. Okay, so now when will we use this or when will we go for this latent fingerprints? Obviously, when as a forensic investigator, as a forensic examiner, I am doubting or I am suspecting that maybe in this place, maybe in this area, some fingerprint might be present of the criminal. So then only what will I do? I will start applying specific powders or chemicals so that the fingerprints will gradually become visible. So that is the basic difference between patent and latent fingerprints. Okay. Okay. Now, according to FBI stands for Foreign Bureau of Investigation. So, according to FBI, it recognizes 8 basic fingerprint patterns, and we have 10 basic details within those 8 basic patterns, and those 10 basic details are known as minutiae. Okay, so 12 identical points will be essential, or necessary for a match. For a match means for a fingerprint match. Like we have a fingerprint of a suspected individual and we have to match it with the individual which is actually being blamed as the criminal. So for that match we need at least 12 identical points. Okay, now over here I have just given the 10 different minutiae patterns that we have. Okay, now what are they? So on the left hand side I have given the name, and on the right hand side I have given the visual appearance. Now like how they look. Okay, so obviously depending on the visual appearance we have given the name, isn't it? So number one, see, it's ending reach. The name is ending reach and it is including the broken reach also. Okay, so see, so ending reach, this reach you can see it's a broken reach, but still it's been included in the ending reach. Second, we have this fork. Fork means it's having a kind of bifurcation, which is making it look like a fork. So this is exactly looking like a fork, or you can also say it as Y-shaped, isn't it? So it's there's a bifurcation in the reach. So that's why it's named as fork. Then we have island reach, or it's also known as a short reach. So see, this is a kind of island reach, isn't it? Beach mein there's nothing, only a piece of reach is left. So that is why it's named as the island reach. Then we have dot. Dot means very short reach. So as you can see over here, very short. Okay, almost not visible. So that's why it's known as named as a dot reach. Then we have bridge reach. Okay, see, visual appearance is exactly like a bridge. So it's kind of a bridge which is connecting the upper and the lower reaches, isn't it? So that's why it will be named as the bridge. Sixth, what we have is a spur. Spur means a hook. So see, this is exactly looking like a hook. The visual appearance is exactly like that of a hook. So it's named as a spur or a hook. Seventh one we have is eye. Eye because it's looking like a enclosure or a island. So see, exactly it's looking like an eyelid, isn't it? So it's known as eye. Then we have double bifurcation. See, so one is only bifurcation or fork, number two as I showed you, and then at number 8 what we have is double bifurcation. So see, this is one bifurcation, this is another bifurcation, so double bifurcation. Okay, then ninth we have is delta. See, exactly looking like a delta. Don't get confused between number 2 and number 9, between fork and delta. They are somewhat similar, but this dot is missing in case of fork or bifurcation. Okay, so that's why it's delta. And last but not the least, we have trifurcation. Trifurcation means bi means 2, tri means 3. So 3 different paths have been created. See over here, 1, 2, 3. That's why it's not bifurcation but trifurcation. Okay. Okay. Now see, this is actually a focused diagram of a ridge minutiae that I have shown. Okay. So this is what kind of minutiae we can say. It's a kind of a bifurcation. See, this is over here also we have a bifurcation. Here also we have a bifurcation. Here we have ridge endings. See, here we have enclosures, means eye. So different types of minutiae we can see over here. This is a dot type of a ridge. This is an ending type of a ridge. This is all. These are also endings. These are somewhat eye. These are bifurcation. Okay, so inside a ridge minutiae, we can again find different types of minutiae. Okay. So I think that's it. That was a brief overview about the basic concepts of fingerprints. Okay, we will be soon moving forward to the second session of fingerprints because this topic will need at least 2 to 3 sessions. Okay, and then eventually we will move on to the next upcoming topics of forensics. Okay, so till then, thank you, goodbye. Please like, share and subscribe ITLS Academy. Thank you.